Welcome to Kotler Keller's Marketing Management, Chapter 8, Tapping into Global Markets. Let's get started. Learning objectives. What factors should a company review before deciding to go abroad? How can companies evaluate and select specific international markets to enter? What are the differences between marketing in a developing and a developed market? What are the major ways of entering a foreign market? To what extent must the company adapt its products and marketing program to each foreign country? And how do marketers influence country of origin effects? Competing on a global basis. Global industry. Competitors' strategic positions in major geographic or national markets are affected by their overall global positions. Global firm. Operates in more than one country and captures R&D, production, logistical, marketing, and financial advantages not available to purely domestic competitors. For a company of any size or any type to go global, it must make a series of decisions. For example, see Figure 8.1. Most companies would prefer to remain domestic if their domestic market were large enough. Managers would not need to learn other languages and laws, deal with volatile currencies, face political and legal uncertainties, or redesign their products to suit different customer needs and expectations. Business would be so much easier and safer. Some companies don't act until events thrust them into the international arena. The first task is to move from Stage 1 to Stage 2. Most firms work with an independent agent and enter a nearby or similar country. Later, the firm establishes an export department to manage its agent relationships. Still later, it replaces agents with its own sales subsidiaries in its larger export markets. This increases investment and risk, but also earning potential. Next, to manage subsidiaries, the company replaces the export department with an international department or division. If markets are large and stable or the host country requires local production, the company will locate production facilities there. By this time, the firm is operating as a multinational and optimizing its sourcing, financing, manufacturing, and marketing as a global organization. The company must decide how many countries to enter and how fast to expand. Typical entry strategies are the waterfall approach, gradually entering countries in sequence, and the sprinkler approach, entering many countries simultaneously. Increasingly, firms, especially technology-intensive firms or online ventures, are born global and market to the entire world from the outset. However, many nations and regions integrate their trading policies and standards. Each market still has unique features. Readiness for different products and services and attractiveness as a market depend on the market's demographic, economic, sociocultural, natural, technological, and political legal environments. Many companies prefer to sell to neighboring countries because they understand them better and can control their entry costs more effectively. At other times, psychic proximity determines choices. The unmet needs of the developing world represent huge potential markets for food, clothing, shelter, consumer electronics, appliances, and many other goods. Many market leaders are relying on developing markets to fuel their growth. The world's largest food company now gets about 40% of its revenue from emerging markets. Developing markets account for about 82% of the world's population, and 90% of future population growth is projected to occur there. Brazil boasts large and well-developed agricultural, mining, manufacturing, and service sectors. The Organization for Economic Cooperation and Development, or OECD, cautions that economic reforms have stagnated and ranks Russia as one of the most corrupt countries in the world. Many feel the government of Vladimir Putin has been unpredictable and difficult to work with. For these and other reasons, market entry can be daunting. The national government in New Delhi vows to spend $1 trillion on infrastructure over 5 years, although, as in many emerging markets, corruption remains a huge problem at virtually all levels of government. A complicated retail network has been slow to modernize, leading to distribution problems. Foreign businesses complain about subsidized competition, restricted access, conflicting regulations, opaque and seemingly arbitrary bureaucracy, and a lack of protection for intellectual property. 90% of PC software is reportedly pirated in China. The Chinese government encourages partnerships with foreign countries, in part so that its firms can learn enough to become global powerhouses themselves. Africa has experienced much change in recent years. Although political turmoil in Egypt, Tunisia, and Libya during the Arab Spring is a reminder of the instability that has plagued the continent, and infrastructure problems prevail. There are improvements in many other areas, however, such as health, education, and social services, which paint a rosier picture of the continent's future, as do economic forecasts. Indonesia's reputation as a country historically struggling with natural disasters, terrorism, and economic uncertainty is quickly being replaced by a profile of political stability and economic growth. The fourth largest country in the world and the largest Muslim country, given all its progress, Indonesia strikes many as ready to join the BRICS countries. Once a company decides to target a particular country, it must choose the best mode of entry with its brands. Its broad choices are indirect exporting, direct exporting, licensing, joint ventures, and direct investment, as shown in Figure 8.2. Each succeeding strategy entails more commitment, risk, control, and profit potential. Companies typically start with export, specifically indirect exporting, that is. They work through independent intermediaries. Domestic-based export merchants buy the manufacturer's products and then sell them abroad. Domestic-based export agents, including trading companies, seek and negotiate foreign purchases for a commission. Cooperative organizations conduct exporting activities for several producers, often of primary products such as fruit or nuts, and are partly under their administrative control. Export management companies agree to manage a company's export activities for a fee. Companies may eventually decide to handle their own exports. The investment and risk are somewhat greater, but so is the potential return. Direct exporting happens in several ways. Domestic-based export department or division. A purely service function may evolve into a self-contained export department operating as its own profit center. Overseas sales branch or subsidiary. The sales branch handles sales and distribution and perhaps warehousing and promotion as well. It often serves as a display and customer service center. Traveling export sales representatives. Home-based sales representatives that travel abroad to find business. Foreign-based distributors or agents. These third parties can hold limited or exclusive rights to represent the company in that country. Successful companies adapt their websites to provide country-specific content and services to their highest potential international markets, ideally in the local language. Finding free information about trade and exporting has never been easier. Here are some places to start a search. Many states' export offices also have online resources and allow businesses a link to their sites. Deciding how to enter the market. Licensing. Licensor issues a license to a foreign country to use a manufacturing process, trademark, patent, trade secret, or other item of value for a fee or royalty. Deciding how to enter the market. Joint ventures. Foreign investors have often joined local investors in a joint venture company in which they share ownership and control. Or direct investment. The foreign company can buy part or full interest in a local company or build its own manufacturing or service facilities. Rather than bringing their brands into certain countries, many companies choose to acquire local brands for their brand portfolio. Strong local brands can tap into consumer sentiment in a way international brands may find difficult. A good example of a company assembling a collection of local jewels is SABMiller. Advantages and disadvantages of deciding on a marketing program. Advantages: economies of scale, lower marketing costs, power and scope, consistency in brand image, ability to leverage good ideas, and uniformity of marketing practices. Disadvantages: differences in consumer needs, wants, and usage patterns, differences in consumer response to marketing programs, differences in brand development process, and differences in legal environments. Deciding on the marketing program. Table 8.1 defines globally standardized marketing pros and cons. Advantages: economies of scale in production and distribution, lower marketing costs, power and scope, consistency in brand image, ability to leverage good ideas quickly and efficiently, uniformity of marketing practices. Disadvantages: ignores differences in consumer needs, wants, and usage patterns, ignores differences in consumer response to marketing programs, ignores differences in brand and product development, ignores differences in a legal environment, ignores differences in marketing institutions, and ignores differences in administrative procedures. Consumer behavior may reflect cultural differences that can be pronounced across countries. Hofstede identifies 4 cultural dimensions that differentiate countries. Number 1, individualism versus collectivism. In collectivist societies, the self-worth of an individual is rooted more in the social system than in individual achievement. Number 2, high versus low power distance. High power distance cultures tend to be less egalitarian. Number 3, masculine versus feminine. This dimension measures how much the culture reflects assertive characteristics more often attributed to males versus nurturing characteristics more often attributed to females. And finally, number 4, weak versus strong uncertainty avoidance. Uncertainty avoidance indicates how risk-aversive people are. Because of all these differences, most products require at least some adaptation. Even Coca-Cola is sweeter or less carbonated in certain countries. Rather than assuming it can introduce its domestic product as is in another country, a company should review the following elements and determine which add more revenue than cost if adapted. McDonald's allows countries and regions to customize its basic layout and menu staples. Check out Table 8.2. In cities plagued by traffic tie-ups like Manila, Taipei, Jakarta, and Cairo, McDonald's delivers via fleets of motor scooters. Some products cross borders without adaptation better than others, and consumer knowledge about new products is generally the same everywhere because perceptions have yet to be formed. Many leading internet brands, such as Google, eBay, Twitter, and Facebook, make quick progress in overseas markets. Warren Keegan has distinguished 5 product and communications adaptation strategies. See Figure 8.3. Straight extension introduces the product in the foreign market without any change. Product adaptation alters the product to meet local conditions or preferences. Flexible manufacturing makes it easier to do so on several levels. Changing marketing communications for each local market is a process called communication adaptation. If it adapts both the product and the communications, the company engages in dual adaptation. Product invention creates something new. It can take 2 forms. Backward invention reintroduces earlier product forms well adapted to a foreign country's needs. A big hit in developing markets in Latin America, Mexico, and the Middle East, the powdered drink Tang has added local flavors like lemon pepper and soursop. Although its U.S. sales have fallen precipitously, its worldwide sales doubled from 2006 to 2011. Forward invention. Forward invention creates a new product to meet a need in another country. Less developed countries need low-cost, high-protein foods. Companies like Quaker Oats, Swift, and Monsanto have researched their nutrition requirements, formulated new foods, and developed advertising to gain product trial and acceptance. Companies have 3 choices for setting prices in different countries. Number 1, set a uniform price everywhere. PepsiCo may want to charge $1 for Pepsi everywhere in the world, but then it would earn quite different profit rates in different countries. Also, this strategy would make the price too high in poor countries and not high enough in rich countries. Set a market-based price in each country. PepsiCo would charge what each country could afford, but this strategy ignores differences in the actual cost from country to country. It could also motivate intermediaries in low-priced countries to reship their Pepsi to high-priced countries. Set a cost-based price in each country. Here, PepsiCo would use a standard markup of its costs everywhere, but this strategy might price it out of markets where its costs are too high. A different problem arises when one unit charges another unit in the same company a transfer price for goods it ships to its foreign subsidiaries. If the company charges a subsidiary too high a price, it may end up paying higher tariff duties, though it may pay lower income taxes in the foreign country. If the company charges its subsidiary too low a price, it can be accused of dumping, charging either less than its costs or less than it charges at home in order to enter or win a market. Various governments are watching for abuses and often force companies to charge the arm's length price, which is the price charged by other competitors for the same product. Many multinationals are plagued by the gray market, which diverts branded products from authorized distribution channels either in-country or across international borders. Often a company finds some enterprising distributors buying more than they can sell in their own country and reshipping the goods to another country to take advantage of price differences. As companies develop global supply chain networks and move production farther from home, the chance for corruption, fraud, and quality control problems rise. Sophisticated overseas factories seem able to reproduce almost anything. Name a popular brand, and chances are there's a counterfeit version of it that exists somewhere else in the world. Figure 8.4 shows 3 links between the seller and the final buyer. In the first, seller's international marketing headquarters, the export department or international division, makes decisions about channels and other marketing activities. The second link, channels between nations, gets the products to the borders of the foreign nation. Decisions made in this link include the types of intermediaries and financing and risk management. The third link, channels within foreign nations, gets products from their entry point to final buyers and users. Government officials want to strengthen their country's image to help domestic marketers that export and attract foreign firms and investors. Marketers want to use positive country of origin perceptions to sell their products and services. Governments now recognize that the images of their cities and countries affect more than tourism and have an important value in commerce. Foreign business can boost the local economy, provide jobs, and improve infrastructure. Image can also help sell products. Global marketers know that buyers hold distinct attitudes and beliefs about brands or products from different countries. These perceptions can be attributes in decision-making or influence other attributes in the process. For instance, if it's French, it must be stylish. Coca-Cola's success against local cola brand Jean Labao in China was partly due to its symbolic values of U.S. affluence. Hey, thanks for watching this video. Please check out the other videos in this marketing management series. Thanks again.